Hello friends! In this tutorial we are going to learn how to implement a local multiplayer fighting game where two people fight against each other controlling their game characters with two different gamepads. Just a quick disclaimer. Some people claim that my lessons are too long. Well, I tend to explain everything, so even a newbie could understand what is happening on the screen. I recommend you watching the entire tutorial series, and it doesn't matter if the videos are too long in someone's opinion. Friends, please just consider this as an investment to your education. Just take a deep breath, relax, and follow the tutorials in a meditative way. The True Fighting Game engine gives you amazing possibilities. But we must know the tool if you want to use it in a professional way. By the way, sometimes I get in trouble myself and cannot explain some unpredicted behavior of the Unreal Engine, as you will see in this particular video. So, while this tutorial helps you to create a fully working functionality, I am still going to post an update to this video later after I figure some things out. As you may know, I have also started another tutorial series on how to create a basic UE5 fighting game without using the True Fighting Game engine. So you can check it out if you are not planning for now to build a production-ready game. Let me remind, the True Fighting Game engine is my project for Unreal Engine that allows you to create your own AAA class fighting games. You can easily add attacks, combos and hit animations, import characters based on any skeletons and create either single-player or multiplayer fighting games. You can check out my other tutorials in this playlist to learn how to do all of this. And with the True Fighting Game engine, you can create either Mortal Kombat style or Tekken style games depending on your needs. You can find the link to that project in the description below this video. And now, let's start. Alright, so I have just extracted a brand new project to my hard drive. It is the True Fighting Game engine version 1.5.2, and let's open up the project. So it has been loaded. Let's open our content drawer and navigate to content, TrueFGE maps. Let's create a new map. We go to click to the file menu and select the new level option. And we just select basic template. And let's save this new map as we go to file, save current level as, and we save it to the content TrueFGE maps. And let's name this new level local multiplayer new. In this level we are going to spawn two different players, two different fighters, and assign two gamepads to them. Each of the players is going to be controlled by a different gamepad. So the map is open, and how do we usually start setting up a map for the True Fighting Game engine? We go to the blueprints folder and we find the BP TrueFGE settings blueprint, and we drag it and drop to the map. And this is what basically makes the map suitable for our fighting game. And we save everything. And let's rotate the scene so the x-axis is parallel to horizontal axis. Alright, now here at top, let's click this add to the project icon with a plus, and we select the basic submenu, and let's add the first player start. Alright, and let's move it here, and Let's do this once again. We click this add, we select basic, and we add one more player start. Alright. So we are going to spawn 2 fighters. Each of these players start points vectors. So in details, let's align them by the y-axis. Just select the first player start and set the y-axis to 0. And for the second, we do so as well. Now what we are going to do, we are going to override the game mode for this particular map. So we go to the world settings tab and we find the game mode override option, and we could actually use any of these two, either game mode or game mode base options. But let's just manually create a new game mode from our already existing game mode. Here in the TrueFGE blueprints folder, we see this BP TrueFGE game mode local multiplayer, and we select it and we press Ctrl D, and let's just add a new event so we can declare it. And let's open it. And it is actually going to be empty, so just can just clear everything we had. We just select this choose player start function at the left and press the delete button. We go to the construction script and we delete everything. We maybe add a call to the parent function. Not sure yet, but let's do this. Right? For now, and let's see later. And we save and compile. And now we have this BP TrueFGE mode. It is actually just inherited from the game mode, let's say so. Not a problem. Alright, and now in our world settings, in our new level, in the game mode override, we select this newly created game mode, BP TrueFGE game mode local multiplayer new. Alright, and we save everything. And now it's time to edit the level blueprint. To do so, we click this icon at the top, and in the drop down list we select the open level blueprint, and we are going to work with the event begin play. Let's drag a connection. We are going to spawn 2 players, 2 characters, and possess each of them by a separate controller. Alright, so let's, for clarity, drag a connection from the begin play, make a sequence, make it in a sequential way. And let's first spawn our first player. From then 0, we drag a connection, and we start typing spawn actor from class. Alright. And let's our first fighter will be one of our default characters, or the TrueFGE, BP TrueFGE mannequin UE4. Alright, you remember it if you have watched the previous tutorials. Now, what about the spawn transform? It is where we are going to spawn the actor. Do you remember we have a player start? So we can just do this really easy. We can minimize the window, and from our outliner we just drag the player start to our level blueprint, And let's at once drag and drop the player start to second, but we'll leave it for now. And from the player start we get its transform. Drag a connection and start type and get transform, and we select the get actor transform, and we connect the output value to the spawn transform. Right, and now it returns our TrueFGE character. And let's drag a connection from the return value, and the start typing is player, and we select set is player. For now it is a pretty legacy thing, which usually means that it is the first or the left player on the scene. I believe in the near future I will refactor the engine a little bit to make it more clear. Alright, so we set the is player and set the is player boolean to be true. Right, and now we are going to possess this newly created character by a controller. Player controller, the first player controller, 0 player controller, is being spawned automatically, so you can just right click on the empty space and start typing get controller and select the get player controller, and we leave the player index as 0 because the first player controller has the index 0. It is being spawned automatically by our as a default player controller by our game mode, as our newly created game mode inherits the basic game mode. Alright, and we drag a connection from the return value and we type possess. Alright, and we connect this output pin with the possess node, and we drag the return value of our spawned actor and drag it to the inbound. Alright, and we save and compile. Let's quickly see what happens. And we already have something. I'll just enable my gamepads, and it is already being controlled by the gamepad. It cannot attack because it doesn't have any enemy, but we are going to add the enemy really soon. So we go back to our level blueprint, and now it is a feature, or maybe it is a bug. I don't know what is it, but in Unreal Engine we have a little trouble, and when we are going to spawn the second player and get it possessed by another gamepad controller, we need to place a delay. I'm still continue studying about this. I don't know why it is it so, but it is a must. So the first thing we do when we drag connection from the then one, we add a delay, and the duration 0.2 will be enough. Alright, now we need to create another one more local player. The first one has been created along with its controller automatically by our game mode, but we need to create the second player manually after we complete the delay. So from the delay we drag a connection and we start typing create local player, and we can actually leave the controller ID as -1. This means that it will just use the next available ID. So our first ID is already taken, it is 0, And in this case, we could actually type 1 here, but it is a better practice to make so, and it will automatically create a player with index 1. And now we do almost the same. We spawn the actor again, drag a connection, and we type spawn actor from class, and we select the class, and let's make it our base queen character, or maybe let's make it money. So we select the BP, TrueFGE, money. All right, great. And what about the spawn transform? We do the same. We get the player start 2 that we dragged from our outliner, and we drag a connection, and we get actor transform, and we drag a connection to the spawn transform. Let's save just in case. Now it will, as I said, it is legacy, and it is a pretty proprietary thing. Let's drag a connection from the return value, and we set is player, and it looks strange, but we set it to false. Yeah, it is so for now. As soon as I refactor the engine as I am planning, I will release a new tutorial on this, and I will make an announce. But when a fighter is not marked as a player, it automatically enables AI by default, so we just disable the AI. So from the return value from our character, we drag a connection, and we type AI component, and we scroll down, and we get AI component, and we drag a connection, and we type AI enabled, and we set it to be false. All right. I believe not so difficult, not so complex, but you should just remember about this. I hope I will refactor the code very soon, and we will get rid of this need to set these variables. And now we want to possess our newly created fighter by the player controller, which has been created when we created the local player. We right click on empty space, start type and get player controller, right? And the index will be 1 because it is the second player controller. And now we drag a connection from here, and we type possess, and we connect input and output node. And of course, we need to specify what to possess. So we drag from the output pin of our spawn actor, we drag one more connection to the in palm, and we save, and we compile, and we save. So, right, looks not bad, but if you could see, I'm now controlling both of them with my two controllers, gamepad controllers, and for the right player, when I am moving my stick to the left, it actually steps back, and when I move the stick right, it steps forward, and the same By the way, let's enable the arena mode to make it more obvious. We just select the VP TrueFGE settings, and in its details we select arena and 3D input while arena. So we can also go sides or slides, side by or slide forward and backward. But we have a pretty useful option. I have created it specifically for this case, when the inputs are inverted. Why are they actually inverted? Because if we suppose if we play a multiplayer game, then every user on his machine would see his player at the left of his screen. And of course, controls would work as intended. But when we have a local multiplayer game, we see both of fighters from the first fighter camera. So the second fighter is visible from the left side, and that's why it seems like the controls are inverted. So how do we fix that? We go to the level blueprint once again, and we drag a connection once again from our just spawned TrueFGE mini, and we type invert, and we select this boolean value set invert inputs, and we set it to be true, right? And we connect input and output, and we save and compile. And let's run the game now. And now it works as intended. So we have a local multiplayer with two different fighters, and each of them is being controlled by its separate gamepad. By the way, I forgot to say, you see, both of our player starts are aligned by the x-axis. What if we could try to do so? The problem is, yes, currently, if we rotate the player start, the player will not be controllable. I'm pretty much sure I know the reason, and I believe I will be able to fix this in the near future, but for now we need both of our player starts to be aligned at the same point. You see it rotates, and after that we can control this player. And you know, the first player always works fine. For some reason, you know, the gamepads in Unreal Engine are yet a pretty mysterious thing. Even if you search Google for this topic about enabling two gamepads, you will see that people have troubles. I believe I will be able to fix it, and I will post an update about that. But for now, just remember that the second player start should have 0 as its yaw position. Right? Pretty simple tutorial. Of course, when you load your level, you can set the classes for the characters you spawn automatically. Same, you can get them from the user choice menu, but that's a technical thing, and I think it is not a topic for this tutorial. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Have a nice day and see you next time.